The reason I have on the thumbnail up here, Kevin Durant and Giannis, is because to me, I think those are the two guys who would make the most immediate impact and put the Knicks in a position to be a legitimate and immediate championship contender, right? Steve says, holding his call for the last topic. All right, Steve, all right. Oh my gosh, Steve, you and KD, man. Steve said Knicks need KD. If they were smart, they would take let's see, Smart off the Suns, Cat for KD straight up. First of all, if I'm the Suns, I'm not doing that, right? Why do I want Cat for KD straight up? That doesn't even make sense to me. But regardless, so we know where Steve stands. Steve wants KD. Now, Steve makes a great point when he says KD is shut up, Edward. Yes, I was thinking about Tim's. But anyway, Steve makes a great point when he says that KD is plug and play in any system, and he is. And I think there's a good reason for KD being effective anywhere. One, because we know, because he said it, he doesn't want to be a leader. Also, because he doesn't have to be a leader. It's not just that he doesn't want to, he just doesn't have it. So he isn't and doesn't want to be a leader, right? So that's not a problem. And to Steve's point, he can get into any system. He can find any spot on the floor for the most part. And against almost any defense, he can get his shots off and be an elite scorer. And that takes a whole lot of pressure off Brunson, right?
If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast. We should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us a like, leave us a 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. Make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, make a note of it. The Format Podcast is live Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. And finally, if you're really and truly enjoying the content we're delivering you, make sure you hit that join button. There's going to be exclusive content here just for you.
This one is interesting, right? Because if you remember when I was first talking about Tibbs getting fired, what was one of the things I said? I said that I feel like the issue is less about Tibbs, Coach Thibodeau, Tibbs, and more so about the roster. And I think the key is, as good as Brunson is, you're putting so much on his plate and so much in his hands in terms of, take us there, right? And we saw that he's one of the best. He won the Clutch Player of the Year award this season. He's one of the best clutch players in the league. He's one of the best clutch players now, it appears, in Knicks history. So we know that he can get you to a point. But to win a championship as a small guard, only very, very special people are able to do that, right? And be the main gun, of course. And that's like Steph Curry and Isaiah Thomas, right? Allen Iverson got there, but, he ran into the freaking buzzsaw, right? And that, of course, was Shaq and Kobe. He wasn't going to beat them. So it takes something so special as a small guard to take a team to a championship. And I don't think Brunson is that good as he is, right? And so what does that mean? That means to me that the Knicks need a second guy or another guy to take some of that offensive pressure off of Brunson, right? The Knicks need to do a better job of running real offense. And when you are running real offense and you have another guy that can be that can take defensive attention away from Brunson and can be, a very good to elite scorer, that would make a real difference. So I think that instead of firing Coach Tibbs, they should have worked on the roster and gave Coach Tibbs another year, and then you see what happens. But the reason I have on the thumbnail up here, Kevin Durant and Giannis, is because to me, I think those are the two guys who would make the most immediate impact and put the Knicks in a position to be a legitimate and immediate championship contender, right? Steve says, holding his call for the last topic. All right, Steve, all right. Oh my gosh, Steve, you and KD, man. Steve said Knicks need KD. If they were smart, they would take let's see, Smart off the Suns, Cat for KD straight up. First of all, if I'm the Suns, I'm not doing that, right? Why do I want Cat for KD straight up? That doesn't even make sense to me. But regardless, so we know where Steve stands. Steve wants KD. Now, Steve makes a great point when he says KD is shut up, Edward. Yes, I was thinking about Tim's. But anyway, Steve makes a great point when he says that KD is plug and play in any system, and he is. And I think there's a good reason for KD being effective anywhere. One, because we know, because he said it, he doesn't want to be a leader. Also, because he doesn't have it to be a leader. It's not just that he doesn't want to, he just doesn't have it. So he isn't and doesn't want to be a leader, right? So that's not a problem. And to Steve's point, he can get into any system. He can find any spot on the floor for the most part. And against almost any defense, he can get his shots off and be an elite scorer. And that takes a whole lot of pressure off Brunson, right? Okay, cool. KD would be the good fit, but if y'all remember when Transformer and I talked about this, I thought that KD would be the better fit in Minnesota with Ant Edwards. That's where I think he needs to go up if Minnesota can work that out. They need to send KD over there. That would be a vicious 1-2 punch, right? And of course, Ant Edwards looking up to KD and all that, and then working out together and all that. And maybe KD would help Ant Edwards, realize that if you use the mid-range game too, you can be more dangerous. But not the point. That would be, to me, the better fit than KD in New York. The guy I want in New York is Giannis. I think that he would be a tremendous fit, and he could cover up some of the defensive liabilities. So you put together a package, maybe with some picks and Cat, or, Cat and maybe a couple of bench guys, and you send him to Milwaukee for Giannis. That's what you do. Because if you're Milwaukee, you're never going to truly get, an even deal for Giannis, but you do the best you can, and that would be the best you can. So I would say if I could do that, you get Giannis and Brunson, man, that's crazy. And again, the plus with Giannis is that he covers up for the other defensive liability, which is Brunson. So if Brunson gets beat and he can't stay in front of his guy, Giannis can help out a lot with that, whether it's switching onto him in the pick and roll or whether it's, cleaning it up at the rim, So I think Giannis would be the great fit. And obviously New York being the great international and cosmopolitan city that it is, that would be a great fit and home for Giannis as well. There's a large Greek population there as well. So I think on and off the court, it would just be the perfect fit for him. I think that would work out really well. Well, no, Woodage, I hear what you're saying, but I think Dame is different than Brunson, though, right? Dame is different than Brunson. And also, it's going to depend on the coaching. I don't know if you heard me say this, and I know it's not that easy, right? But if I was the coach in Milwaukee, whoever it was, Doc Rivers or whoever, when Dame came there, I would have spent so much time, especially this past offseason, studying every variation of the 1-4 pick and roll that the Utah Jazz used. And I would have tried to put all that into my playbook with Stockton and with Dame Lillard and Giannis from every spot on the floor. Now, what does that mean? That means you're going to have to take the ball out of Giannis's hands some and let a point guard be more of a point guard, right? Whether that would be Dame or whether that would be Brunson. And that's cool because, Giannis is a guy who can somewhat run point to some extent. So him being able to do that takes some of the pressure and relieve some of the fatigue on Brunson's part in terms of trying to run the offense. But it also doesn't put you in a position where Giannis has to be running the offense all the time too. So he can get into the dunker spot. He could pick and roll to the rim for lobs, be a lob threat. Like I think it would be really good. I think it would work really well with smart and right coaching. Yeah, no. You're absolutely right, Woodage. They were playing very well under Griffin and fired him for no reason. And unfortunately, I think Giannis wanted him out of there, and I think that's why that happened. And I didn't like that at all. What's going on? It's not that serious. Good to see you, man. We shouted you out earlier. Nino says, I like Giannis. Yes, I like Giannis too, Nino. But yeah, I think Giannis in New York with Brunson, I think it would be a fantastic fit. I think it would work really well. Again, because you got the defensive ability to clean up a lot of what Brunson couldn't handle. And of course, you have the offensive ability to score points, to rebound, and a totally different type of mentality than Cat. Giannis is going to put pressure on opposing defenses instead of bailing them out by hanging out, shooting threes. Like, that's something that y'all know, it really bothers me. And I'll talk about this more in the next topic. I hate when you got somebody that's a legitimate offensive threat and they bail the defense out too often by hanging out, shooting threes. Giannis also wanted Budenholzer out of there after he coached him to a title. Yeah, I think that's true too, man. That's tough. That's tough. But I think that Giannis would be just a really great fit in New York, man, with Brunson. I think that would be great. And I think you could get it done with Cat and, a couple bench guys maybe and a couple draft picks. You make it work if you have to. But you don't give up that core. But yeah, that would be crazy. And then think about it, other than Brunson, you have a real tough, gritty, defensive-minded team if you could get Giannis there. Like, I don't know why you don't try to do that. Maybe I'm missing something. Somebody put it in the chat. Nah, don't do that. Don't call him Giannis. Don't do that. No. That's terrible. Don't do that. But yeah, somebody put it in the chat. If they think maybe there's somebody else that could be a better fit in New York, maybe, and this again, I think would be another defensive liability, but maybe instead of KD, instead of Giannis, maybe you try to get your hands on Booker, and you bring him there, and then you have a vicious backcourt with Devin Booker and Jalen Brunson. But then again, in that situation, you have a backcourt that's not going to defend it all, and not necessarily a great shooting backcourt, right? Like we know that Devin Booker can shoot the three, but he's not a 3-point shooter. I think he's about 35%. Same thing with Brunson, 35, 36%. So these guys are, about average 3-point shooters, but they're both big shot takers and makers. I don't know if Devin Booker has it mentally to deal with New York and what New York brings, man. That is a very tough city for star athletes. And if you're not mentally tough, I don't know if that works. Because if we remember, we can go back to some years ago, Devin Booker in the pickup game in the summer, crying and whining about being double teamed. And it's like, are you kidding me? Laker Nation, what's good, bro? What's good? Good to see you. Yeah, so I don't know if Devin Booker has the lower intestinal fortitude to deal with playing in New York City, man. That's no joke. That's not a place where you can go mess around. Like, you got to know what you're doing and you got to be tough there mentally. But my thoughts are I think Giannis is the best fit. KD is the next best fit. And then I'm not really sure what you do after that. I'm not really sure who's available or what type of moves you try to make, but they clearly need a second guy. Woody says Booker whining in the pickup game. These players are goated. Yeah, man, he was complaining about getting double teamed in a pickup game. And when they asked Kobe about that same thing, Kobe was like, man, you better double and triple team me. Think about it. A pickup game is the opportunity where turnovers and none of that matters. If you get double or triple teamed, you have the opportunity to get better and figure out how to deal with that without, getting paid for it. Steve says, I lied. I'm calling in for this one. All right. Yes, you can call in and advocate for KD. No doubt, Steve. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on it, man. That's my thoughts. I definitely think Giannis is the right fit for New York. I don't know if it's going to happen. But again, the other problem is, I guess, first we got to figure out who the coach is, and then you figure out roster moves. So we will see. But all right, y'all, let's do this. I don't really have much else to add to that. Let's go ahead. Let's take some calls. 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. Pick up the jack. Let me hear what we got. Steve, what's going on, man?
What up, Bruce? How you doing, brother?
Maintaining, man.
Good. All right. Now, before I go on my little prattle, because I'm going to advocate for my guy. If you were to see Giannis go to New York, how would that look in this hypothetical? Are they giving up Cat?
Yeah, have to. You give up Cat, maybe a couple bench players, a couple draft picks. You have to. I don't need Cat there if I have Giannis. Absolutely not.
Okay, that's kind of what I assumed, but I just wanted to clarify before I made a couple points.
Got you.
So we're going to assume the lineup would look something like Brunson, Bridges, is OG, Giannis, and Robinson.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that. So this is why I would lean towards KD, because I would make the same hypothetical where if you're to bring KD in, you're going to have to give up Cat. Maybe some bench guys, some picks. I don't know what their picks. I'm just kind of guessing at something like that. But regardless, we're envisioning this same roster with KD at the 4 or Giannis at the 4. We just saw New York. They struggled scoring when they needed to. They don't have shooting. They need more shooting. I love Giannis. He is a freak. This is nothing against Giannis.
Right.
This is more of a fit argument. We've already seen Giannis with the Twin Towers in Milwaukee for forever now, and it's like peak. It just doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's played with another 7-footer beside him. So if Robinson is going to stay in New York, he's the defensive anchor. That's his job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Giannis wouldn't work, but it's like, do you need another defensive anchor when you already have Robinson if you're willing to give up Cat?
Yes.
Or should you bring in a guy like KD where it's like, this guy can get his shot off in any system, in any offense, and can help Brunson in these closeout quarters. I mean, Brunson's a dog in the fourth quarter,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, what would be a better fit for what we saw in New York's their deficiencies this year? It's like, man, give him a 7-footer that can go from the 3-point line in and get his shot off wherever he needs. And you're going to have to double team KD on that team. So that's going to free up Brunson. That's going to free up some things. You would have to double team Giannis, but it's a little bit different because you're not as much of a threat with Giannis from the 3-point line. Let's be honest. Like, he's expanded his game a little bit.
Right.
You're not going to – you can just pack the paint with Giannis and you can kind of nullify him to a degree.
Well,
with KD, it's a little bit different.
I don't think you can pack the paint with Giannis because, Brunson, while he's not Steph Curry, obviously, can still stretch the floor enough. Josh Hart can stretch the floor enough. OGs can stretch the floor enough. They're not shooters, but they can shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then on top of that, the fact that and I'm not saying KD doesn't defend, but I do value a guy that, I mean, with Giannis, he can give you 25, 30, but he's still an elite defender, right? And so I love the fact that he can clean up with Brunson when Brunson gets beat. And, if you get caught in that 1-4 pick and roll, well, you're not getting caught in the 1-4 pick and roll because Giannis can handle that. So many modern coaches love to switch the pick and roll. Giannis can do that, but he can also get back and defend the rim. And of course, an elite rebounder. So I like Giannis there better. Now you're right. He doesn't give you the, anywhere, anytime, any shot versatility offensively that KD does. I would be a fool to try and argue that. I'm not going to, but I like Giannis from the defensive versatility standpoint, as well as he can still get you points, and he can spell Brunson at times in terms of running the offense. So I think it works.
I mean, it's not me advocating against Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm saying it wouldn't work because Giannis he's one of the 3 best players in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not me advocating against.
No, I got you.
The only thing I would prospectively, from my perspective, how I look at this is New York. I mean, you can never have enough defense,
mm-hmm.
but it's like, would I add another defender, or would I add a guy that, like, Katie's not bad on defense,
mm-hmm.
especially if you give him a real center, which they've never really had. DeAndre Ayton, I'm sorry, but he got exposed as soon as he got there. So it's like, you can get away with KD playing the four with his length, where no, he's not Giannis. It'd be blasphemous to even compare the two defensively. But it's like, when you have Obi, when you have Bridges, when you have Hart, when you have Deuce McBride, you have wing 3 and D guys. So it's like, I agree with you, but you're going to have guys switching no matter what, and you still have your anchor in Robinson. Why wouldn't you add a guy that can go out to the 3-point line and legit draw a double team to free up these guys that we agree they're not shooters, but they can shoot? So it's like, guess what? With Giannis on the floor, I don't know if they're getting those wide open shots with someone like KD. So I feel like you're benefiting offensively with a more versatile offensive player, and you're still going to have a very competitive defensive team. Let's be honest, all those guys that we named, from Robinson to Hart, Obi, and Bridges, like, those are legit defenders. Like, those guys can guard, they can switch basically everything. Maybe not so much Robinson, but the wing guys, they can switch anything.
Right.
So I would, again, we're going to agree to disagree. I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm not saying you're wrong either. I think what this comes down to, Steve, is just differences in how we see the game, right? And of course, you know me, man. I'm kind of stuck in my old school ways on that. I got to be honest, and
you just stuck in hating on KD. Anybody that I like, I swear you write it in the notes. It's like, I'm gonna shit on Jokic, I'm gonna shit on KD. But Notre Dame, we're good.
Hey, we're good.
We're good on that.
We are good there. Go Irish.
But yeah, I just look at it from, you're not sacrificing that much on defense, because let's be honest, Cat wasn't a very good defender.
No.
So it's like bringing in KD. I honestly think you're getting better defense at the 4, and you're getting elite offensive ability that can really help Brunson. Now, it's not to say Giannis isn't an elite offensive player. He's elite at what he does really good.
Yes.
But we're talking about from like in playoffs when you're drawing double teams, like you need to get a shot off. Giannis does have limitations. Not me shitting on him. It's just
that's true.
But anyway, I won't let other people call in because I could go back and forth with you all.
No doubt, man.
I will argue KD like the Bronsexuals be twerking, bro. You know me.
I know it. And fighting, slapping each other with honey, right?
Hey, slapping the honey. You got poor honey everywhere.
Right. No, I'm not mad at you about the KD. I think the KD definitely could work as well. And by the way, I'm not saying Giannis is a better player than KD, which is interesting. No, I'm not. But it is interesting. How far does his being elite on defense take towards the fact that he still gives you 30? You know what I'm saying? Because like when I look at, obviously KD is a far superior offensive player. We get that. But he gives you 27. Cool. But like he's a little less on defense than Giannis is. How far does Giannis's defense, how much closer does it get him to KD as a complete player? That's kind of more my question.
Individually right now, yes, Giannis is the better player. If we're going peak for peak, I'd still lean KD.
Yeah,
but like
and I agree
right
with you.
now, and where you're correct is like, yes, what Giannis will give you defensively is definitely better than what KD. This is why I argued more from a fit standpoint, where it's like they have the 3-and-D wings. Right. So it's like you have a defensive stability in New York with 4 guys on that roster. It seems like adding a little bit more versatility offensively would make them a little bit tougher to guard, because I think you're going to get a good defensive team from New York, whether you have KD or Giannis. Yes, it would probably be better with Giannis, but it's like now you're sacrificing shooting. Where with KD, you're sacrificing a little bit of defense, which you can compensate with for given the versatility of those 3-and-D guys.
Right.
But now you get the versatility on the offensive end where it's like, man, you're going to have to guard KD 30 foot out, where you're not going to have to do that with Giannis.
Yeah.
But
I think part of my thought on this is, like I was saying also, is that I would prefer to see KD with Ant in Minnesota. But
yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that. Honestly, I think KD would fit both. I mean,
KD fits everywhere. We've seen that.
Yeah,
he fits everywhere. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, the thing with Phoenix, it didn't work out because they sunk all that money on that Beal contract. They couldn't really build much around. Like, and granted, it's partially KD's fault. If you're a top dog, you got to take accountability.
That's right.
But at the same time, it's like Booker was never healthy. Beal's never healthy. You know, it's like he is 36. He's getting up there. He's not LeBron. Like he don't have the PEDs like LeBron. He doesn't have the Miami Clinic. So already know like his aging's a little different. Well, I'm not accusing. I'm just hypothetically.
Yes, Steve.
But anyway, brother, I might call back in for the last segment.
Hey, I appreciate it, man.
I'll be in the chat, brother.
No doubt, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you, Steve. My brother Steve with a great call as always. All right. I want to take another one. Pause. I want to take another call in on this topic. And I definitely would like some thoughts on maybe there's somebody that we're not thinking of. This doesn't have to be relegated to just Giannis or KD. Like who else might be a good fit that somebody thinks could help the Knicks next season? What do you think? Somebody call in and let me know. I'd love to hear this. Edward, what's up, brother?
Yo, Bruce, what's poppin', Kermit?
What's up, man? You want to stop calling me Kermit, man?
I called you Money Making Mitch too in the chat.
You
know what I'm saying?
I'm
got too happy when Miss Lady had said, "Hey, you got a little bit too happy," so we're gonna keep it pushing.
Man, you gonna stop, man? You stop, stop.
But anyway, hey, yo, hey, Steve, bro, Steve, you gotta chill, bro, with that, man, with this. Oh my God! Hey, if you can't critique his game, you got to critique him off the court. But we gonna keep him pushing and rock and rolling. So, Bruce.
Yes.
Now I think I sent this to you. Partner left and pause. No did when I said I slide in your DM.
Yeah. You might have. I haven't been checking that stuff today. But you probably did. What you got?
But so I don't think I know everybody talking about Cat getting traded and everything, but man, I don't see that happening. You know, Leon Rose, he's a Cat guy. You know, it goes back towards his Kentucky days. So I don't
get
see
that dude up out of there, man.
I don't see it happen, Bruce.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying they need to get that guy up out of there if they have the opportunity to get something better. You gotta get rid of him.
But Bruce, it was also, I said in the chat, it was talks about KD and Giannis going to Toronto.
That would be crazy. Yeah, I saw that you put that in there. That would, wow. I don't even know.
But who are you giving up? I mean, only person I can think of is just Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett, and they just signed Brandon Ingram. So I don't know, man. It's just a lot going on. I mean, we're gonna find out everything that's after the NBA Finals. After that goes on. And also, let me say this here: the situation with the Suns, with KD Book and Bradley Beal. There's no more big three no more.
No.
It died.
You can't
man.
just put three guys together. They have to be three guys that can work together. And so, I'm sorry to interrupt. Let me just say this: when you look at Boston, right, the first big three in of the modern era, basically, the reason that worked so well is because they had an elite point guard in Rondo to distribute and get the ball where it needed to go, and all three of the guys had a complementary skill set, right? So you got KG, elite defender and low post player. Then you got Paul Pierce, your slashing wing who can also shoot, and then Ray Allen, your traditional shooting guard. So it all worked perfectly. You didn't have guys who basically play the same position or play the same way, So I think it was just a perfect fit.
Yeah, that's true. And it's like they try to say the same thing about when Giannis was going on his run about the big three. I've seen that being a perfect triangle with Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That wasn't a big. I wouldn't see that being a big three.
No.
Of course, I think the last best big three was the. Would you say the Golden State was a big three with Clay, Steph, and KD, or the Miami was the last?
Miami more so. Golden State, nah. Like they brought in KD obviously, but the rest of that team was built organically. So I wouldn't even say that. Nah.
Okay, but as far as that, man, I mean, Cat, man, he was killing the Pacers. But you want to talk about his defense? Hey, he wasn't the only person that was liable on that defense, man.
No, Brunson
was getting cooked. Yeah. Both of them was getting cooked on the defense. So we can't just put it all on Cat.
No, I didn't because remember what I said. If Giannis goes there, Giannis is the guy that can clean up when Brunson gets beat on the perimeter.
But my thing with this though, Bruce, Giannis he needs the ball, the rock in his hand, just like Jalen Brunson needs the rock in his hand. So how is that going to work?
I think they both do, but the key is if you have Giannis there, when Brunson has the ball, that takes some pressure off of him, right? And think about it, Giannis can be a roll man in a 1-4 pick and roll, right? He can go to the dunker spot. Giannis can do other things, right? Right. So you know that. And then also in a situation where Giannis has the ball, that gives Brunson an opportunity to breathe a little bit, and he doesn't have to be the main guy trying to initiate offense and trying to score and do all that, right? Now, if he scores, cool, but it takes some of the physical pressure and exhaustion off of him. So I think it could work both ways for both of those guys.
Well, hey, we'll see when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? And also, it wasn't a good big three with the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and James Harden. That didn't work. So big threes are dead no longer. So with that being said, it's because we see two teams in the finals that does not have a big three. So just want to give my point on that. And man, with the firing of Tibbs, man, it's so crazy. I know you heard it. Notice if you heard it too about what Stephen A. said about why hasn't, who was it, Leon Rose and the other guys, why they didn't come out and have a press conference, talk about it. They said he really never does have one.
Leon Rose don't talk. He doesn't, he don't talk publicly.
No, he doesn't, but he should. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, maybe because now let me ask you this, Bruce. When he got fired, if he lost against y'all, the Boston Celtics,
Who, Tibbs?
Yeah.
That's a great question because I guess you would say, well, he lost to the champs, but I really don't know, man. There's no telling what this clown James Dolan will do. So I really don't know. Think about it. This is the same guy that freaking tried to get Oak arrested in the damn Madison Square Garden, and Oak is one of the most beloved Knicks ever. So, like, there's no telling what he will do.
Yeah, and I don't think he wouldn't if they lost against y'all because that was expected because y'all were the defending champs. I think it was because of the Pacers, but the Pacers should have shown, hey, they got more depth. You start going to your bench more, and in this Pacers series.
Mm-hmm.
So that probably been what it was, in my honest opinion, because I don't think that he wouldn't have got fired if they had lost against the Boston Celtics. But yeah, so that's all I got on that, man. But
No doubt.
my fault, bro. Hey, I had to listen to about 5 to 6 times, bro. And Prodigy was the best person on that. I'm sorry, bro. It was too slow for me. The track was too slow. I had to listen to it.
Look, man.
It had bars, the lyrics. The lyrics was dope for Prodigy. God rest the dead.
And it's one of the best tracks ever in hip hop history. But that's a whole different thing.
Okay, bros. You said too much. I gotta get off the phone.
Yeah, you know what it is. Don't act like you don't know.
No.
Yes.
Let's talk about the show.
Yeah,
bro.
Let's do that because you out here talking crazy.
All right, brother.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man. You be you.
You try to be you too with that nonsense you just said. All right.
I say no, man. Water. Yeah, all right, brother. Good call, Edward. Good call. All right. So Laker Nation, I believe you said you wanted to call in, so I'm gonna wait for you before we move on to the next topic. Go ahead, give us a call, man. Waiting to hear from you. Clay scored 70? I know he scored 60. I didn't realize he scored 70. I know Devin Booker scored 70. I did not know Clay scored 70. Okay. Laker Nation, waiting for you, man. Go ahead, do your call in. You say you were gonna call in on this topic, so I'm gonna let you say what you got to say before we move on to the next topic and finish out the night. Let's see. Whoa. Klay Thompson has never been better than Bosh. That's interesting. That's definitely up in the air. That's a very interesting question. All right, Laker Nation, you got 30 seconds, man. 30 seconds before I move on. Klay Thompson and Chris Bosh. That is very interesting.